Okay, so we have a presentation here. Observe the pause, menopause, what this is all about. And I want to talk about a couple of things here. The second subject is on belly fat, why we have it and how to get rid of it. First of all, this presentation is a brief insight into the stages of menopause and the reasons why you may gain belly fat at menopause. Menopause is never the problem, it's a catalyst. Always remember that. All right, this menopause business, it does not have to leave you feeling like Mrs. Doubtfire. We don't have to be our grandmother or our mother reincarnated. We can be who we want to be as long as you know how to do that. So, this perception and this scenario and this what society makes us feel we have to morph into is absolutely BS. Seriously, you can be anything you want to be. You do not have to be Mrs. Doubtfire. So menopause can be so many things, so many good things. Now, what I want you to think about when you see this picture is a jigsaw puzzle. So imagine you have a jigsaw puzzle in front of you on the table, and this jigsaw puzzle is your life and it's your current reality. Now, a lot of you have got the outside of this jigsaw puzzle put together. You know you need to exercise, you know you need to eat healthy. So you've been looking at what you eat, you've been looking at your exercise, you're probably doing things that you think are working. You know, you're doing things that you used to do that worked, but now all of a sudden they're not. And now confusion and now frustration, we start to jam pieces of the puzzle together that don't fit. You know what that's like when you put when you're doing a puzzle and these pieces just look all wonky and they don't fit properly. That's your reality. My job is to help you put the right pieces of the puzzle together so you can see the picture. And then when you see the picture, you see the reality. You see you have a vision of what you want to be and how you want to live your life and who you want to become. And I help you create that process. I'm Chrissy. I'm 60 years of age, believe it or not. I have been in fitness for a very long time, but hey, I've been through this menopause business. I know how it works. I know how this thing rolls. I know what we need to do. I know what we need to stop doing. I know how your body changes and your hormones change so much in menopause. And I'm here to help you. So I am 60. I'm still teaching group fitness. I still train like you wouldn't believe. I'm probably the strongest I've ever been. I'm a mum, I'm a grandma, and I love what I do. Now, the first thing that we're going to go through are the stages of menopause. So we've got this perimenopause business, and it can honestly last for 10 years. 3 years, 7 years, 10 years, who knows? It's kind of like a box of chocolates. It usually starts in your mid 40s and goes into your 50s. But hey, you could be in your late 30s and going through this also. Then we have menopause, and it's the end of our reproductive years. I mean, why we should be defined on our reproductivity and our fertility, who knows? Who thought of that? Probably a man. Anyhow, menopause really lasts for one day because you cross the line. And who thought of that? I don't know, probably another man. Anyway, it's the end of those reproductive years. You're no longer fertile. Then we are post-menopause the next day, and it happens after 12 months of not having a period. So that's perimenopause is the perimenopause would actually be the most challenging times where your body changes the most and you have all these fluctuations and mood changes and period changes, etc. They can be the most challenging, more challenging than perimenopause, post-menopause. But hey, what you experience might be completely different to your neighbor, to your sister, to your best friend. Every woman has their own experience, and every woman will have an experience. And as you can see in this diagram, this is what actually happens. So once again, we go back to these fertile years, and your estrogen, which is the purple line, and your progesterone are the two main sex hormones for women. We also have testosterone, which I will refer to a little bit later. But if we talk about just these two hormones, which change during perimenopause, you can see that in our fertile years, throughout our cycles, they remain relatively high. As we get into our mid-40s, our progesterone drops way quicker than our estrogen, which can fluctuate and go up and down and up and down and up and down. And this is what creates irregular periods and heavy periods and painful periods and mood swings and all of the things that happen to you, hot flushes, etc., brain fog, memory loss, all of the symptoms, because there are a lot of them. And then menopause normally happens around about your early 50s, and that's when they drop away to not much. So symptoms of perimenopause. Hot flushes is definitely one of them, but it's not the main one. Most women think that if you get away without having hot flushes, you have no symptoms. But brain fog and memory loss and low moods are probably way more common and detrimental than you think. So hot flushes, poor sleep quality, night sweats, vertigo, weight gain, low energy, vaginal atrophy, tendinitis, brain fog, many, many more. All of these are symptoms. So maybe you're experiencing symptoms of brain fog and tendinitis, your joints ache. It's a symptom of perimenopause. And this brings me to point number 2, belly fat. Now, there are 3 main hormones to consider in menopause when it comes to belly fat. So it's not just about the estrogen and the progesterone. It's about these other 2 as well. Cortisol, insulin, and estrogen are the 3 hormones that play the biggest part in belly fat at menopause. But I guess the question is, why do we gain belly fat in menopause? I'm going to give you 5 main causes here. The number 1, insulin. Now, most people don't realize that insulin is actually a hormone. It's produced in your pancreas, and insulin resistance can increase during menopause due to a couple of major factors. Now, you've possibly heard of what insulin resistance or sensitivity means. It's one step before diabetes. It's when your cells become resistant to insulin, and it can increase during menopause due to these factors: fluctuating and low levels of estrogen, poor diet and lifestyle habits, too much wine, too much processed food, too much chocolate, chronically elevated stress levels. Hey, who hasn't got that these days? So these things can impact your insulin levels. Now, when your body is optimized, that means it's running really, really well. It's functioning well. You know, you're a fat burning machine. Everything's going great. When your body is optimized, insulin will do what it's meant to do and be a fat burning hormone. So when glucose hits the bloodstream, insulin's released from your pancreas. It comes along, it grabs that glucose and it'll shove it into cells. Go, there you go. And the cells use glucose for energy. So you feel really energetic, you've got lots of vitality, and hey, you're a fat burning machine. Awesome. However, when your body isn't optimized, so it's not functioning as well as it should be, the same hormone, insulin, can become a fat storage hormone. High insulin can be caused by low protein intake. Now, you've probably heard that you need to eat more protein, but what does that mean? You probably need to be eating about 100 grams of protein every single day. And most women would eat half of that. Low protein intake can be one of the causes of high insulin. Too much wine, too much chocolate, too many lollies in the cupboard, in the drawer at work, and processed food, you know, the chips and the crackers and the cake and the muffins and the, you name it. High stress at work, at home, poor exercise habits, inconsistency with exercise, poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, come home too tired to do anything, sit on the couch, and poor gut health. They can all create high insulin. Now, numerous hormones contribute to belly fat, but none proves more powerful than insulin, your fat storage hormone. The second problem is cortisol. Now, high stress drives cortisol and insulin high. Menopause in itself is a stress to the body, so it can raise cortisol, and also we become less resilient to to cortisol. And that's why we feel more stressed and more irritated and more agitated about things. Dieting. So a history of dieting, low calorie eating can raise your cortisol because your body thinks you're starving. And if your body thinks you're starving, it's going to hold on to body fat, which is energy storage, because it doesn't know when you're going to feed it next. So if you're fasting, thinking that that's the answer, is it really? I would say not. Poor sleep raises cortisol. Hot flushes raise cortisol. Alcohol and excess caffeine raise cortisol. So you could think you're not eating that many calories, like, why am I gaining weight? High cortisol, high insulin. Stress. So think about it. Am I stressed? Do I feel less resilient to stress? You know, I know a lot of women have said to me, "Oh no, I'm fine. I cope with stress really well." And possibly on the outside you do, but what about your diet history? What about your sleep? You know, what about all the other mitigating factors that raise cortisol? How much coffee do you drink? How much alcohol do you drink? All of these things raise cortisol, and that's not good. High cortisol will create cravings also. Do you ever feel that when you're really stressed or you're really tired, you're under pressure, that you eat more and you crave chocolate and sugar and anything that's really, really quick? High cortisol will create cravings. The third thing is low estrogen. Now, one of the many benefits of estrogen is the impact it has with insulin. It sensitizes insulin, making it more of that fat burning hormone, not the fat storage one. So when we are going through menopause and we're going through all those fluctuations that I showed you a little bit earlier, when you have low estrogen, especially at postmenopause, then your body isn't as sensitive to insulin, and we have more insulin and glucose in our bloodstream. And this is when the cells, remember the glucose is taken up by insulin, shoved into the cells, your cells shut up shop. So there's excess insulin and glucose floating around your bloodstream, nowhere to go. However, your fat cell says, "I'll take it, come on in." And so the excess glucose will be stored as body fat, and it's usually around the midsection. Now, in a woman's life, these are the hormones that the five main hormones here, four main hormones here, which fluctuate in a woman's life. So as I spoke about, estrogen and progesterone take a big dive, and a crazy dive with estrogen there in perimenopause. Testosterone also takes a dive. Testosterone is really important, not just for guys, but for women as well. It's our libido, it's our energy, it's our muscle mass, and all those things are really important for our well-being, for our energy, to train, etc., and for our muscle mass, which is really important also. Melatonin helps you sleep. As we get older, melatonin drops off, so we are less likely to sleep, especially if we're under stress. Now, the fourth thing here is poor muscle mass. Now, who hasn't thought, "Oh my God, I'm putting on weight, I've got to lose weight, I'm going to do some cardio. I'm going to get on the treadmill, I'm going to run every morning, I'm going to do really hard HIIT sessions and get all hot and sweaty and feel absolutely smashed." But nothing happens. There's no change at all. And that's because you are losing muscle. Muscle is essential for so many things. One of them being metabolism, burning calories. So as we get older, we lose muscle. Now, as muscle is really important for burning calories, if we're losing it, then we're not burning as many calories. We need to protect our muscle. And if we're losing it, we need to put it back there. And the only way to do that is with weight training. Poor or low muscle mass can slow your metabolism down. So if you're out there walking every morning, that's fantastic, but it is not enough. No amount of walking is ever going to increase your muscle mass. Girls, you gotta lift weights. You have to. And the last thing here is poor sleep quality. Who hasn't lie awake in the early hours of the morning, wondering why you cannot get back to sleep, Your mind is ticking over. You just simply cannot sleep, and you might feel so tired but wired. Poor sleep quality will definitely, for so many reasons, contribute to belly fat. Poor sleep raises cortisol. What happens when your body has higher cortisol levels? It stores energy. It impacts your mental health, and it can result in sugar cravings, raising insulin levels. And hey, you know who hasn't had a terrible night's sleep and want to eat chocolate the next day? That is not good for the belly. So if these things are contributing to my belly fat, what do I need to do to change it? Right. This is what I advocate. It's what I call the 5 fix. Number 1, yes, there's exercise. It is part of it, but it's only 20% of it. So you can't exercise your way out of this. You can't think that walking or going to the gym and doing spin classes and working out 3 times a week is going to be the answer. It's part of it. Nutrition. Don't think that you can diet your way out of this. You might have been able to when you're 20 or 30, but you can't now. Nutrition is part of it, but it's not everything. Weight training and restorative exercise, 100% is a part of it, but it's not everything. Stress management, 100%. We have to manage this thing because, hey, life is stressful. And everything that happens in our lives, whether it be good or bad, creates some sort of stress somewhere down the line. We just have to learn how to manage it, but it's only part of it. And the other gap, if you like, the other 20% is optimizing your hormones and your metabolism. We've got to know what they are before we can optimize. So the Hormonal2Hot coaching program is a solution to all of this. It's that jigsaw puzzle. Because remember that jigsaw puzzle at the start, which was just a mess. Imagine if it looked like this, and all you had to do was fill in the gaps. That's what I help you do in Hormonal2Hot. We set the picture, we put the pieces of the puzzle together, the ones that need to go together so we can see it, then go about creating that vision in reality. We start by rebooting your operating system. So it's almost like turning your computer off and getting rid of all the browsers, all the tabs that are open on your browser, and just rebooting your computer, getting rid of all the rubbish. And these are the things that we focus on to begin with. Learn how to master your nutrition and your training. Eat more protein. Eat enough calories to support your metabolism, not stop it. Weight train 3 to 4 times a week. Practice yoga, meditation, or other restorative exercise. Walk every day, and some accountability. Crucial. Because girls, you cannot do this thing on your own. I mean, how are you going to do all those 5 things? How do you know if your hormones are optimized or not? How do you know how to optimize them if they're not? How do you know how to balance them? How do you know to increase your metabolism? How do you know how to correct a really negative mindset? Accountability and coaching is the only way. And then we focus on mastering your mindset, your stress management, and your hormones. Getting good quality sleep, however we can. An audit of your hormones and your metabolism, and I do this through blood labs. Stop drinking wine every night. 2 glasses twice a week. That's it. Stop eating rubbish. Practice mindfulness. Practice self-development. Now, if any of those things are red flags to you, my question is, how important is it to you to lose the belly fat, to be the best version of yourself, and to be in the body you want to be in? Because you won't if you do keep eating rubbish, drinking too much wine, and don't know where you're at hormonally. So by reducing your cortisol and your insulin and improving estrogen levels, you can lose the belly fat. And here are some of my clients who did just that. Jody, Claire, Julia, Melanie, Kerry, Jill. They've all done exactly that. And you can do that too. All you need to do is ask, Chrissy, how do I do this? And I'll be there to help.